welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be recapping my reads for October and picking my November TBR. Okay, so in October, we had a pretty wild reading month, I want to say. I feel like we did better than September, that's for sure, but we also were not back to our regularly scheduled programming of like 10 books a month. Like, we're still not back to that. Like, that's not happening. So I believe I ended up finishing 5, 6. I ended up finishing 6 books, and I'm currently in the middle of a 7th. I was hoping to finish it yesterday. I'm filming this on November 2nd. I was going to give myself like a 1-day grace period to try to finish the book I'm in the middle of. That didn't happen. I wanted 7 so bad, and it didn't happen. But we'll go ahead and recap the 6 that I did end up reading, and then we'll move on to our TBR. So the first book that I ended up picking up in the month of October was Phantasma. This one is a like paranormal-ish romance. So it's kind of following like a ghost house, a kind of like spooky setting with games and trials. So basically our main character Ophelia is going into the games called Phantasma to try to like save her sister who's going into the games for her own kind of secretive reasons. So this one, we were following Ophelia and Grimm, who's a ghost in the house that's like kind of helping her along with these games and trials. I ended up giving this one a 4.5 star. I feel like it was more of a vibes read. Like, I could kind of see where things were going, but I was just having such a good time and so much like fun, just like vibing along with the story, that I really didn't care, that I knew where I could tell things were kind of leading to. The next book that I picked up in the month of October was The Striker by Anna Huang. This one I ended up giving 4 stars. This book follows Asher Donovan, who's a character that we've been introduced in Anna's other books, and it's supposed to be a rival's sister kind of situation where Asher and his soccer rival are supposed to be training with his rival's sister, who's a ballerina, and that's supposed to help them, with their like agility and their like kind of like bonding as off season kind of progresses. This is what their coach wants them to do to get to know each other better, but also focusing on like other aspects of their athleticism. That's not really what we're getting. Like, it is, but it's not. So in this, not to like get too spoilery, the rival, his name's Vincent, I believe. But the rival ends up going away to take care of his and his sister's father, like 10% of the way into them trained. Like, I think they trained together twice. It's literally just Asher and Scarlett together the whole time. And then like the brother comes back and they're trying to keep it a secret, but they're not really, because they just don't make out in front of him. It was very odd. I feel like it was kind of like an insta-lust situation where they were like met and he was super down bad for her and she was like, no thanks. And then they had like 3 conversations. Like, Scarlett tries to make him jealous by going out on a date with a guy that he says is bad news. And then they end up just doing a double date together, and their dates go home with each other. And then Scarlett and Asher are like, okay, I guess we're hanging out now. Like, it just ended up being so like awkward and so weird. And like, after the yearning and the pining that was King of Envy, the last Anna Huang book I read, I really expected her to do Rival Sister a lot better. Like, I was like expecting this to be super slow, but it's a thick book. It's a beefy boy. And I'm pretty sure they got together like a third of the way through the book. And then the rest of the book is just them being in like a happy relationship. And then like 85% of the way in, the brother comes back. And that's kind of it. I mean, I did like the end once they had told the brother what had happened and like how everything shook out at the very, very end, the last like 10%. Which is what gave it a 4, because originally it was a 3.75. The last 10% really saved it, but I still was just like, I expected a lot from this book, and I'm not even sure I want to continue the series, since the next book follows the rival character, Vincent. Like I said, I think his name's Vincent. And I don't even know if I want to learn about him right now. Like, he wasn't in this book. Why would I care? So we shall see if I end up picking the next one in this series up. But right now, it's iffy. The next book that I ended up picking up in the month of October was The Guilt Trip. I'm going to say this is a 4 star. I actually really like this one. After like getting through like the bulk of the intro and like learning about the characters, because this is a lot of character, what is the word? Not development, because they're not getting better. But like, you're exploring this friend group in detail a lot more than like the plot. Like there is plot happening. You're at a like weekend destination wedding trip, but it has a lot more about the characters than what they're actually doing toward the wedding, if that makes sense. So, like I said, it's about a group of friends. There's 5 friends. Um, there's 2 married couples and then one single guy who is the brother of one of the husbands in these 2 couples. The interesting thing about these couples kind of dynamic though is that the wife of one couple and the husband of another couple were like best friends in college, and they were basically inseparable, and they're kind of like that what if person for each other of like if things had shaken out differently they would probably end up together. And it's just super super odd like how their dynamic kind of plays out, and like you're getting flashbacks in our main character Rachel's point of view of how things were, and then also like how they became a friend group with her being married to someone else, him being married to someone else, and this brother who's now introducing in a like 6th person into their little group, and how her coming into this dynamic really changes everything up and like exposes a lot of things in their friend group. So it had a lot more like domestic thriller vibes, if that makes sense. It wasn't actually like super like vacation thrillery. They weren't like getting ticked off an island one by one. There was more about like interpersonal dynamics and like the husband wife relationships going on. So the main like unlikable character in this gets a really big redemption arc, and I wasn't that big of a fan of that. I think that's why I ended up rating it a little bit lower when I first read it. And now, like, upon further reflection, I'm like, okay, well, like, they weren't a great character, but they weren't a terrible character either. But I did think it was very interesting how certain characters were set up to be great, and then they ended up being revealed as, like, not good people. And other characters were set up to be, like, actual menaces. And, like, they were doing all of this, like, within valid reason. So that was super interesting how this kind of shook out. The next book I picked up in the month of October was Cross the Line by Simone Saltani. I ended up giving this one a 4.75 stars. So in this one, we are following, I believe her name's Willow. Yes, we're following Willow and Dev. And Willow just graduated college. She wants to be like a PR sports manager kind of person. And Dev is kind of reeling from a like bad PR manager situation gone wrong. He basically doesn't buy his PR manager like a ticket to go home after one of the races. He like leaves her stranded in Australia. So she decides to like basically set him up to be like the spokesperson for STD testing. And he does not take that well. His professional career and obviously personal life are tanking. And he offers Willow, who is his best friend's little sister, the opportunity to be his like summer intern and fix his reputation over the summer. And then she can like go on to be like the PR manager that she wants to be with his name and F1 kind of tied to her resume. So it's kind of a win-win for both of them. And she ends up going over to Europe and following him on his like F1 trek and F1 journey. I ended up really liking this one. I think I gave it a 4.75 stars. The main reason that I didn't give it a 5 stars because I felt like there were way too many side characters, and I was really invested in those side characters. And then I checked to see who the next book was about. It's not about any of the people that we learned about, like at all. Like I thought, like, oh, the best friend's brother situation is done so well. We might follow the brother in the next book. No, we're not following the brother in the next book. I was like, oh my god, her best friends, they're so like built into the story, and like they have such a good fleshed out friendship dynamic as like a little trio. One of those other girls is going to be in. No, none of her friends. He has his like little gang of like his assistant, his trainer, other F1 racers he's super super close to. One of the F1 racers that he's close to is the side character and is the one that's going to be in the next book, but they literally only have 2 scenes together. Like he's like the least mentioned side character in this whole book. And that's who is getting the next book in the series. And I was like, oh, interesting. So it just kind of deterred that we had so much extra stuff going on with the side characters just for them to not really matter in the end. But I did also really enjoy the cultural representation in this book. Both Willow and Dev are half white and half like other ethnicity. Willow is half black and Dev is half Indian. And so we follow not only, what's going on with Willow's life, but also with Dev's, his sisters getting married. So at the very end of the book, I believe it's the last like 20-ish%, we're following them going to his sister's Indian wedding, which is like a super huge deal. She ends up renting out like 3 different houses that are in the same neighborhood, so all of her friends and family can stay together. So it ends up being super fun and super interesting to kind of delve deeper into that. And we also get to see how their moms kind of meddle in their love lives, which I also thought was super fun and cute. The next book that I ended up picking up in the month of October was The Hemlock Queen. This is the sequel to The Foxglove King. So I'm not going to go too into detail about what happens in this one, but we are following a girl named Lore who has necromancy powers when they're forbidden in her kingdom. So she basically is practicing magic that she's not even supposed to have in the first place. And when the king catches her, he's like, hey, I think my son's trying to raise a rebellion against me. I think you should become friends with him and try to figure out what's going on with that. And so he assigns her and also like a bodyguard that he's basically making her befriend. He assigns both of them to basically become friends with the prince and become part of like the court life of their kingdom. And so in this sequel, we are picking up kind of where we left off in the first one. So I can't say much about that. But Lore is still Lore. She's still, battling with her necromancy powers and what all that kind of entails. This one I feel like did not have as much as the first one. I feel like the first one, we hit the ground running. She's literally getting caught in like the second chapter. And so we know like all of this stuff that's going on in their kingdom. But in this one, like a lot of it is her trying to research and figure out what's going on. And then like a lot of weird things start happening. And she has to kind of figure out what is the explanation of the weird things. And that was the part that I thought was very interesting. But she doesn't even tell her friends that she's looking into these weird things that are happening until like 70% into the book. Like she waits and she sits on this and is like, something's off, something's weird, but she doesn't tell anyone. And I was just over like shaking her, like, girl, tell your friends, let them know what's happening. So that was where I think that my main gripe with this one ends up being. I gave it a 4.5 just because it was a little slower in the beginning and just because I wanted Lore to tell her friends and ask her friends basically for help. The last book that I ended up finishing in the month of October was Yellowface. This one's by R.F. Kuang. This one I ended up giving a 4.25 stars, mainly because I was getting such bad secondhand embarrassment from our main character. So basically what's happening in this book is we're following June, and she is kind of getting to be close with and becoming friends with a girl that she went to college with named Athena. And they're both writers. They both did the same undergraduate program at college, and that's kind of where they initially met. And they reconnect a couple years later when Athena's already a really established writer, and June is still kind of trudging along, still trying to figure it out. And so they're hanging out at Athena's place for the very first time, and Athena chokes on a pancake and literally dies, like in the middle of her apartment while June's there. But not before Athena told June, hey, you should read my new manuscript for my new book that's going to come out. And basically, like, tells her, like, no one else knows about this, but this is going to be my next book. Like, you should read what I have written so far. So June decides to take it because it's all typed out from like a typewriter. June decides to take it and make it her own. She edits things out, she changes stuff around, she zhuzhes it up, and then gives it to her like editor and her publicist and all of her people, and kind of blows up as a famous writer. Like, this is June's big break. But it's obviously on a book that she didn't write. So people start catching on, they start calling her out. It basically dives into a lot of like cancel culture and a lot of things that are going on social media. And I mean, this came out in 2023, I think. And like, it's still like super, super relevant, still touches on a lot of things that are really important right now. I feel like I said, the secondhand embarrassment from how June handles like every single situation was insane. I literally was like, why are you doing that? Why would you say that? Why would you do that? Like, that's not a normal response. It's not what people should do. And that was like the whole book. It was just me like wanting to throttle someone for making stupid choices. But I did like the overall message of it. It talks a lot about publishing. It talks a lot about being an author and like the whole book space and like how toxic it can really get. There are multiple like not even side characters because we don't ever meet them. But there are multiple like people that are literally just hopping on the next person that they can hate via social media. Like I said, we don't meet them. They're all on social media. And so they literally are just finding the next author that they can dislike and the next person they can have a problem with and like jumping on the bandwagon. And like she's reading these comments and there'll be so many comments about like, oh, I knew June was faking it. I knew June was a liar. And then like the next week, there are a bunch of comments talking about how they knew June was real. They knew she was a good writer. Like it literally was just like back and forth of like how crazy the like drama cycle is and how back and forth the reading community truly can get. So I thought this was super fun, really interesting. There was a little bit of a like thriller-ish element at the end that I enjoyed, and I wish we'd gotten a little bit more of that. I think that that would have made it less embarrassing, just because like June kind of gets her comeuppance, but also like at the very end, like the last like 2 pages, you find out that June's just gonna keep doing what she's been doing best. Like she's just gonna keep being exactly the way that she is. So like, did she really learn a lesson? Like we don't even know. And the last book that I've been reading in the month of October, I think I've been reading this for like 4 or 5 days now, is The Mirror in the Mountain. I'm only about halfway through. Let me see if I can find my bookmark. Yeah, I'm on page 138. I think there's 380 pages, so not even a full halfway through. So this one is the sequel to The Other Side of the Mirror by Dana Evan. Right now, this one's leaning toward like a 4-ish star, just because I feel like a lot of the things I loved about the first book aren't coming up. Like a lot of it is just not happening. And like that's just like the way the series was going to progress anyway. So basically, The Mirror in the Mountain is following where we left off in the first book. And in this one, we have already set up that our two main characters are soulmates. They're destined to be together and they need to like come together to fight the big bad. There's the choosing ceremony that's going to, kind of like announce the fate of, any of these characters when they go through the ceremony. And the big bad is trying to change the choosing ceremony. So basically change fate to make it so he's the rightful king, and our main character can't ever, come into her true power as like this chosen one, which like I knew was going to happen. Like that is what we got set up in the first book. But the first book was just such a good like execution of like pining and yearning, since Ava comes from the human world and she's brought over to the other side of the mirror by Bash, our main male character. And like he's supposed to be like keeping her safe and keeping her protected and getting her to the king, but like they're like falling for each other and he's not supposed to be with her. They're not supposed to be together at all. So like there was so much pining, so much yearning, so much like angst and tension. And this one literally has none of that because they've resolved what is actually happening. And then we also are getting like flashback chapters in Ava's parents' points of view, which is also very interesting to me because I wasn't expecting it. But I'm liking her parents more than I'm liking her and Bash right now. Like I do like Ava and Bash, don't get me wrong, but her parents are just having such a more interesting story and a more interesting journey right now. Like I just think that it's more fun to delve into their lore. So every time I'm getting an Ava chapter or a Bash chapter, I'm kind of just like, oh, okay, like I guess we're doing that now. And like I'm just waiting for her parents' chapters to come up. And I also am super looking forward to the sequel to this. It's going to be 3 books in this whole trilogy. So the next book is going to come out like in the summertime, and we're going to be following Ava's twin brother Tobias, and I believe her best friend Quinn. I think that's who the last book is about. So I'm really looking forward to hearing their point of view because I'm also really interested in Tobias. I just think that out of the character lineup that we have right now, I want to say Ava's the least fun, but like she's the least interesting to me. Like I think that a lot of her arc and a lot of her story is resolved in the first book, and I want to hear about other people besides her. And I just keep getting her and Bash. So we're trudging along, we're making our way through, but it could be better. It could be better. I'm hoping to finish this in a couple of days and hopefully give it a higher than 4-star rating, but we shall see. I have like 200 something pages left to go. So we've got a ways to go on this one. And then here I have our 2 books that were on the TBR that I did not end up getting to. We have Lost and Lassoed and Gleam. I'm hoping to read these soon because I'm still really excited about these titles. I just could not get into them this month. Like I just didn't have as much time to read as I was hoping to have. I also did not like read as quickly as I had hoped that I would. I feel like Cross the Line took me like a week and a half. Hemlock Queen took me like a week. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not the speed I'm usually reading at. So Lost and Lassoed and Gleam, which is a chunky, chunky boy, and I can't find the audiobook for this book anywhere. So these are 2 that I'm hoping to get on this month's TBR again, but we shall see what the dice game decides. So speaking of the dice game, let me go grab it. Do we like the board better on this side or this side? I literally can never tell which way I should be holding it. Like either way, I feel like you can only see like a quarter of it at a time because it's just so massive. Okay, our first roll is 3 and 6. So 3, 6, black on the cover. Okay, I don't think we've gotten that one in a while, but I do have a lot of black on the cover options. So let me go look at the shelves. Let's see what we've got. I fear black on the cover is equal parts too broad and too specific at the same time. Because some of these are like odd picks. I will not lie. We'll start with the ones that I feel like are the most obvious black on the cover. First up, we have Arcana Academy. This one's by Elise Kova, I believe. And I don't know a ton about this one. I just know that it features tarot card magic and a like girl who's not supposed to be doing tarot card magic gets caught doing it, and then she's sent to Arcana Academy to learn how to actually do the tarot card magic she's got in trouble for, but also to fake date a prince. That's all I've got. That's what we're working with on this one, and that sounds so fun. The next pick that I have that we could do for black on the cover is Lights Out. I know this is everyone's favorite mask dark romance that's been going around for forever that I still haven't picked up. So I think my friend Christina would be really happy with me if I do pick it up. But I also don't know if I want dark romance right now. I think I want more fantasy. But I also feel like I have another pick in here that might be like a hit that I want to put on the TBR. But I'm also like, that's weird. Like, it's not a normal pick for me right now. I feel like I haven't been doing anything in that genre. The next one that I grabbed that works for black on a cover is A Cruel Thirst. This one is by Angela Montoya. And I don't know a ton about this. I just know that our FMC is the vampire hunter, and she's trying to prove her like worth to her family. And the MMC is the vampire that they have to work together. The next book that I picked up that could be on our TBR for black on the cover is Mate. This is the one that I think I'm most excited for. It is Ali Hazelwood's newest release, and I've been meaning to pick it up. I obviously bought it to read it, but I eat up anything Ali Hazelwood writes, and I think this might get me back into my usual frequency of how quickly I've been reading for the past like almost year. I think this might get me back into that swing of 10 books in a month if I just pick this one up. This one is following, I believe, is she like half werewolf, half vampire? Yes, human were hybrid named Serena. And she's the best friend of Misery, our main character in the first book in this series, Bride. And so she, I guess, is working with the Alpha of the Northwest Pack, Cohen. So we shall see. We'll see if this one makes it on the TBR. I think this might be our pick, but we'll see. And then the last pick for something that I feel like is a normal book for me to read, something that like I would expect, is Lady of Shadows. This is the sequel to Lady of Darkness. This is the second book in the series that Melissa K. Rourke wrote. I honestly don't really know where this one's going. I feel like the way the first book wrapped up, like obviously there's going to be stuff going on. Obviously it's a 5-book series, but I also don't really know what else will happen in this. I feel like we're starting a whole new series. Like the first book wrapped up a storyline. This is a whole new storyline. It wasn't like a cliffhanger ending where we don't know like how the first story ends. Like we know, and now we're just moving on to like new, bigger adventures. So we'll see. The last book that I have on this is not my usual style. I've not done mystery thriller in a very long time, but I have a video coming up that I really want to do that this would fit into perfectly. This one is Watching You by Lisa Jewell. Obviously you can see there's black in the windows. Yeah. And I feel like this one would be a good fit to black on the cover because it has black on the cover. Also, the whole back of the book is like completely black almost. So this is the last one in our lineup. Like I said, I'm doing a video. It's going to be the second video released this month. and this would be like the perfect fit for that video. So I might end up doing this one just to get like two birds, one stone kind of situation, to get this in there so I have to read it. But I also really want to read Mate. I don't know. I feel like these are, you couldn't have more like polar opposite books. Like this one's literally about a werewolf hybrid and an alpha. This one is about a quaint suburban neighborhood in England where someone gets murdered. Like, these are not similar at all. But I think I'm going with Mate. Even though I will read Watching You this month, I think that might be one of my outside of the TBR picks, just because I want to read Mate so bad. So I think Mate's going on the TBR. Let's do our second roll. So for this one, we have 4 and 5. 4, 5, a romance. Okay, a romance. I can get with that. I like that. So we had quite a lot of options for just a regular schmegular romance, because when I wrote the prompt, I was envisioning just straightforward romance, like no paranormal, no supernatural, like nothing. So here's what I've kind of narrowed it down to. The first one is Late Bloomer. This one's by, I believe, Maisie Eddings. Yes, Maisie Eddings. So I got this one at my book club's book swap, I believe like 4-ish weeks ago. It hasn't been that long, but it also wasn't that recent. So this one, we are following our main character, Opal, which is my cat's name. So I thought that was cute. But we're following Opal. She wins some money in the lottery and decides to buy a flower farm. And then she meets Pepper, who is a local in the town with a flower farm, who thought she would be inheriting said flower farm. So we've got a little sapphic going on. We've got some flower farm drama. I thought this sounded super fun and super cute. So this is a possibility. The next possibility that we have is one that is from my 25 books to read in 2025 that I need to get on. I need to do better about this. So we have Lukov, From Lukov with Love. This one's a figure skating romance. So I feel like it's a little early to be busting out the like true winter aesthetic, but it also does sound like a very fun, good time. And I love Mariana Zapata's books. I feel like they're always so chunky, but I fly through them. Like I literally go through them in like a day. So there's that one as our second option. Our third option is to start Elsie Silver's newest series. I guess this is what? Rose Hill. Yes, the Rose Hill series, starting with Wild Love. I don't know a ton about any of the books in the series. I just know that it all features single dad romances. So I believe we're following, what's her name? Willa. Willa from Heartless's brother is the main male character in this, and he's like a music producer. And that's really all I've got from this one. We'll see. We'll see. But the last book that I have for this prompt is the one that I think I'm going to go with. The one that I don't want to say I'm the most excited for, but I do think this is exactly what I need right now. And that is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I feel like I just need a cozy, lighthearted, cutesy romance. And that's exactly what this is. So this one follows a pop star. I believe her name's Amelia. She decides that she's going to go on a Roman holiday. She wants to get out of her town, be away from fame. She's like a pop star, so she wants to be done with the whole pop star scene for a little bit. She decides to go on vacation, and she ends up in Rome, Kentucky. And that's where our main male character, Noah, and his family live. And so he ends up finding her car, I guess, like broken down, like on his street or something, and decides he's going to help her. And so that's kind of where this one goes. This one will also be in a video that I'm hoping to do later this month. So since I didn't go with Watching You, I'm going to go with this one. So that way I can kind of balance myself out. I'm sure you guys are watching, like, what do you mean you're doing a video with like a thriller and like a cozy, cutesy, closed door romance? And I can't even explain how those are connected. You're just going to have to watch the video because it's going to be good. I promise. I don't know if it's going to be good actually, but we're just going to take my word for it and say that it is going to be good. Okay. Next up. Okay. That was kind of spooky. I thought it was going to fall on my head. Okay. Next roll. We are at 6 and 1. 6 and 1. Cartoon cover. cartoon cover. Okay, so we totally could have done this as our cartoon cover as well, but I'm not mad about having two cartoon covers. I love a cartoon cover. I think they're so cute, so fun. I don't love real people on my covers. It creeps me out, especially if it's men. So I think having a cartoon cover is a really fun time. Let me look at my shelves and see what cartoon covers I've got. For cartoon covers, we have kind of a mixed bag of like variety of cartoon, but they're all in the romance genre. So we're back to romance, and I'm okay with that. So the first one that is an option is Once More with Feeling. I feel like this is a style of cartoon. It's kind of like a pop arty kind of vibe, I guess, almost like a comic book style. I don't know a ton about this book, but I do know the FMC was a pop star and ended up leaving the like show business game to like do theater stuff. And so now she's doing a theater production with someone that she knew when she was like a famous pop star in her teens. So this is our first option. And this one would also be for our my second video this month. This one's another book that I want to put in that list. So kind of bodes well for it, but also I have other options I'm more excited for. Our second option is Offside. This one's by Avery Keelan. And I don't know a ton about this, but I believe it's ex-boyfriend's rival fake dating hockey romance, which I've been wanting to do another fake dating one so bad. But why is it this thick? Like, does it ever need to be this serious? I think this is like 600 pages. Okay, 565. So I guess not terrible, but also like this is insane. Like the font's not that big though. Like that's pretty tiny. So I feel like this would take me a minute to get to, like to get through, since I'm already feeling like a little slumpy. The next one is She Doesn't Have a Clue. I don't know a ton about this one, but I believe it's about like a private island wedding and like a crime happens. Yeah. Kate, our main character, agrees to attend her ex-fiance's wedding, and the bride's poisoned and Kate stumbles across a dead body. So she has to kind of figure out what's going on. We also have Late Bloomer, which was in the last category for romance. I'm just excited to read this one. I think that it would be super fun and super cute. A little bit more of a spring vibe than the season we're heading into, with it being November right now. But I don't really care. It just sounds really cute. And then the last one is Lost and Lassoed, because of course it is. It's a cartoon cover. It made sense. I wanted to put it on the TBR after not getting to it last month. So I think this is the one we're going to end up going with, just because it would be nice to have another skinny legend on the TBR. So that was our third pick. Let's go ahead and get the board and dice and roll again. 5 and 4. So the reverse of what we just did. We just had 4 and 5, right? No, that was like 2 rolls ago, right? 5 and 4. Book Baddies group chat picks. Yes, yeah, we had 4 and 5 before. That was how we got romance. So now we have the Book Baddies group chat picks. Fun. I think we got that one last month too. Okay, let me go ahead and get out my text messages and see. I just sent over that text. My phone's currently on Do Not Disturb, so I will be sure to check it after we pick our next book. So let's go ahead and roll again. Okay, 4 and 3. 4, 3. Published this year. Okay, that's not that hard. So then I immediately blanked on every book that's been published in the past like 2 years. I'm like, what do I own that's published this year? We'll find something that's recent. I think I'm going to lean toward fantasy, since I only have one other fantasy on the TBR right now. We're leaning a little romance heavy for me. So let's see what else I can do that is fantasy. Before I out myself for how many books I've bought in the last like month, please remember that book buying and book reading are 2 separate hobbies. Okay, so for published this year, almost all of these are like super, super new releases that I literally just got within the last like month. So we're just ignoring that. We're fully ignoring that fact. We're not going to pay attention to that fact. And one of them was a gift. So we're not going to think about that too much. Okay. So first one is In the Veins of Drowning. This one is by Callie Cassidy. I don't know a ton. I'm just going to stop saying that because I don't know a ton. Like, end of sentence. I always say I don't know a ton about this book, but here's the plot. I hate that I do that. Okay. This one is one of those siren romances. I remember earlier this year I was talking about how I want to get more into siren, mermaid, pirate, ocean space. This is ocean. She's a siren, which is bad in her kingdom. And a king who's not the regular king of her kingdom comes and takes an interest in her. And that's what I've got so far. Yes, neighboring king comes to visit. She can no longer hide. He knows exactly what she is. Yes, they flee together. Ooh, okay, wait, this sounds fun. Okay, this sounds like a good time. This one's on our list for published this year. And also, like, look how pretty the cover is. It kind of glistens in the light. I like that. I also could have done this for black on the cover. I'm just now realizing. I thought she was like a darker blue color. Like she's fully black on the cover. It's like literally her silhouette. So that one is an option. We like that. The next one is an option, is also one I could have done for black on a cover, Our Vicious Oaths. This one is by Annie Davenport. I met her at Books, Gowns, and Crowns, but her book wasn't out yet. I'm hoping to see her in Atlanta in February. But basically the premise of this one is the enemy of my enemy is my lover. Our main female character is going to get married off. She doesn't want to do that, so she decides she's going to have one last night of like fun, reckless, like partying with her friends. And they end up running into the rightful king of a different kingdom that her father had actually conquered this kingdom and like killed this guy's family. And he hates her dad. He doesn't like the people who are in power in her kingdom, but he also hates the guy she's supposed to marry. And she hates that guy too. So they decide, hey, let's team up. You're going to steal me from the wedding. It's going to look like this whole like crazy thing. And we're actually going to be like on the same team. So that's this one. Very excited for this one. I'm very excited for this one. It's just like end of sentence. The next one is another one that I'm super excited about and came out recently. Princess Knight. This one is basically Legally Blonde, but set in medieval times. So my understanding of this one is that the female main character is super damn bad for this guy. He goes to night school to train to become a knight. So she goes too. She decides, yeah, I want to be a knight. And that's how she ends up in this predicament of being in school to become a knight that she doesn't actually want to do. She just wants to earn her like childhood best friend lover situation back. And then I believe this guy is supposed to be like her guard is the situation. It's like she's not supposed to be there, but she has to have a guard to like keep her safe. So that's how he falls into it. Because like obviously they're knights. They're not going to be out here like having a lawyer case, you know? Okay. The next one is another one that I'm really excited to read. The past month has just been like peak book releases. Like I feel like we're not getting another good book release until like the very end of the year. But like October just really popped off, I feel like. This one is Blood Moon. This one is, I believe, similar to Twilight vibes, but all the characters are people of color. And I believe it also is inspired by Bonnie from Vampire Diaries. Don't quote me on that one. I don't really remember how much that's a part of it. But I know that our main character, her name's Mirabella. So like, not to Twilight. So Mirabella grew up with legends of wolves that traveled her Midwestern town to protect the humans from vampires. She starts university. She's ready to leave the past behind. Only the past isn't finished with her yet. Strange animal attacks are occurring around campus. So that sounds super fun. This is another one that came out earlier this year, The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. Also could have done this for black cover. Everything's a black cover now, apparently. But this one is traditionally published fan fiction for a fandom that I was never a part of. So we'll see if I even like it. But it is marketed as a like fantasy rom-com. So I think that might be kind of fun. But I also feel like I already have rom-com vibes. Like we already have One in Rome, we already have Lost and Lassoed. Like those are already pretty rom-com-y. And then the last one that I have for this prompt is A Dance of Lies. So this one came out earlier this year. Again, I don't know what it's about. I don't know anything. But it looks so pretty. I saw it at the bookstore and I was like, I want it. So that is our last one. I think I'm excited for all of them. Like, can this just be my TBR, like all of these books? Yeah, I just need something to get me the F out of my slump so I can read like 10 books in a month again. Like, that will fix a lot of my problems. Okay. So, because I've already said I really want to get back into siren-y stuff, but I also really want to get back into vampire stuff. I've wanted to read a vampire book like all fall, and I just haven't because I'm dumb. What do we think? I think I want to go with Blood Moon. I feel like this one's been on my radar longer. I literally have been following the author for like months before it was even published. And I also feel like this one is like set in our world, so it'll be a lot less world building than something like this, where I have to figure out what the hell's going on with sirens being like fully illegal in their society. So I think I'm gonna go with this one. Let's check my phone and see what my friend said for the pick that they got. I'm scared. No, I didn't read Gleam. Okay, so remember how earlier when we had black on the cover, I was like, hello, my friend Christina will be so proud of me if I read this. Christina won, and she said First Time Caller or Lights Out. I've already read First Time Caller, so Lights Out will be our 5th book added to the TBR. Let me go grab it. We'll see how much Liz yells at me later when I tell her I still haven't read Gleam and that someone else beat her to the punch with this one. But like the audiobook, I need the audiobook. I can't read without my audiobook. I've done both the other Plated Prisoner series books with the audio, so I'm like, I need it. Okay, so that was book 5. We have 3 more. 3 and 2. 3, 2. Litfic. Oh, I hate that. I hate it here. Litfic? What am I talking about? Okay, let's see what literary fiction I've got. Gosh dang it. For literary fiction, I'm not really feeling literary fiction right now. I feel like that's going to make me more slumpy, and I've already read the 2 literary fiction books that I wanted to read with that prompt, Yellowface and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So, as a small workaround, I decided to go with books that are technically more thriller, but leaning into literary fiction. So, the first one is Rouge by Mona Awad. This is the author that did Bunny. All I know about this one is that it features a girl whose mother, I believe, was like a famous model, actress, something like that. And she goes back to her childhood home when her mother passes, and the creepy stuff starts happening. That's all I've really got with this one. And then the other one that I think is probably going to end up on the TBR is In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I've actually tried to read this book twice, and I just can't ever really get into it. Like, all of the characters are extremely unlikable, and I think that that is part of my problem, is usually if it's like a setting where the characters are supposed to be unlikable, like there's at least one person that you can kind of like get behind. No, the main character's terrible. Literally all of her friends are terrible. Like, they're going back to their college reunion, and then they decide like, hey, like our friend died, she was murdered, we should try to like figure out who killed her. Like, what? You're waiting like a decade? She's been dead for 10 years and you're just now like, wonder what happened to her. That would bother me a lot if that had happened to me. But yeah, it's a then and now timeline, which is the only thing I liked about it the first couple times I gave it a read. I think I've only made it like about a third of the way through. I keep taking my bookmark out, so I don't really know how far I've truly made it in. But I think this one's going to be the one we have to put on the TBR because this is also a book that I wanted to put in that video I've been hinting at. So we shall see how that goes. If I DNF it, I DNF it. Like, this is its last run. This is her last chance. If it doesn't spark my interest this time, if I can't make it through, we're going to have to call it. Next roll, I believe this is roll number 7. Yeah, this is roll 7. Okay. 3 and 2. 3. Wait, we just had that. Okay, wait. Roll 7. 5 and 6. 5, 6. Okay, so that's the first book we see on Goodreads. Let me go ahead and pull up Goodreads and see what we got going on. Okay, screen record. 3, 2, 1. Okay, An Academic Affair. I don't own that book. I don't own Fallen City. I don't own that one. I don't own that one. I don't own Daddy Issues, but I know that one's by the author of You Again, and I'm very intrigued. That is the 4th book in a series I haven't started. No. I don't own like any of these books. Okay, I'm just going to keep scrolling and I will stop when I find one I have. I've read that one. I've read Just for the Summer. I feel like this is the that's like the second in a series I haven't started. I think this is the problem with Goodreads versus Fable, is with Goodreads, it's like every book ever. Like you're just getting a bunch of books. Whereas I feel like Fable is stuff your friends are reading and books you've already put on your list. So like you're not getting all of these random things. I've read And They Were Roommates. Did I run out? I literally ran out of Goodreads to scroll through. Okay, we're refreshing maybe? No, this is the same. Okay, I'm going to close out of Goodreads and go back to Goodreads. Try again. No, these are the same. Oh, I'm so behind on Goodreads. So very behind. Maybe the Discovery tab? Maybe that will help me. I don't own any of the books in this part. Wait, I do actually own a couple. I don't know why I just scrolled through that and act like I didn't know what any of those books were. Okay, wait. Gleam is in this because you're reading Phantasma. It's not the first book we saw on Goodreads, but I might make that our thing. I think to appease Liz, I will put Gleam back on the TBR and give it another go. Thankfully, I didn't put it back on the main shelf, so she's just chilling over here next to me. So, yes, Gleam, Big BB Boy, because I don't know what Goodreads was doing. Like, showing me every other book ever written besides books that I want to read. I don't get it. But now we're on our last roll. 2 and 1. 2, 1. Part of a series. Part of a series. Okay. Part of a series. I could have done Gleam for that. I'm going to say that now. I could have just picked Gleam for that. Let me take a peek and see what series I'm already in the middle of that it would be easy for me to just throw on here, because I feel like Lost and Lassoed is probably one of the other books that I would have tried to get on here, since it is literally in a series that I'm trying to finish. So let me look around. Let's see what other series we've got. I think we have a pretty even mix of fantasy and regular romance. Let me take like a quick count. We have 1, 2, 3 romance, 1, 2, 3 fantasy, and 1 like mystery thriller. So maybe I should do 1 more fantasy if I have a fantasy series I'm in. Yeah, let's take a peek and look for that. Okay, we're back. For part of a series, I wanted to go with a fantasy series, and I feel like I had options, but not as many as I'd wanted. So the first one that I have the physical copy for, like easily accessible, is Blood on the Tide. This is by Katie Robert. It is a sapphic vampire and Selkie. Yes, vampire Selkie romance, which sounds fun and sounds great. And I loved the first book in this series. It's a skinny legend, super short, super quick, to the point. But I was thinking I already have. No, I don't. Do I? No, I don't. Why did I think I already had something? Oh, because there was the other one that came out this year that I thought about putting on the TBR. Dang, okay. The next book that I thought of that might work for this prompt is continuing the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I just read The Songbird in the Heart of Stone, I believe the end of last year. Liked it enough, didn't love it, but the sequel to that book, because there are 2 duets in that book, right, in that series right now. So the other set is like going to come out next year, but the sequel to the second set just wrapped up. So the Fallen in the Kiss of Dusk was the other book that I thought of. I'll put a picture up over here because I don't own that book yet. Surprisingly, like flew through my radar somehow. But the last book that I wanted to put in my video that's coming out later this month is Throne of Glass. So I think it's time. I think we're doing Throne of Glass. My copy is buried in a pile of books like in the corner of the room. So I will get it out in a minute, but I think Throne of Glass is the direction we are going to go in. I think that we're finally doing it. My friends can stop bullying me about not reading Throne of Glass because I'll do it. And I think that's going to be our 8th and final book on the TBR for this month. So let me get all my books together. Let me suffer through my pile of books and get Throne of Glass out for you guys. Be right back. Not gonna lie, kind of had to fight for my life, but we got it. I pulled Throne of Glass out from the deep, dark depths of a pile of books I have yet to put on my shelves. So this will be the 8th and final book in the monthly TBR. Let's go ahead and do a little wrap up to remind me what all is on the TBR. So, Throne of Glass, part of a series. I didn't specify in the prompt if it was part of a series I'm currently reading. That was just the goal, but here we are, starting a new series. The next book that we have is Gleam. This one was, what was the prompt for this one? First book we saw on Goodreads. It wasn't, but we didn't see anything I owned on Goodreads, so that just worked out really well. The next prompt that we got was a literary fiction, and this one is a thriller lit fic kind of combo. So we'll see how this one goes. The next prompt that we got was a release from this year, so we're doing Blood Moon. The next prompt that we had was our book bestie chat picks, so Christina went with Lights Out. We had a cartoon cover as our prompt for this one, and we picked Lost and Lassoed. We had romance as a prompt, and so we picked When in Rome by Sarah Adams. And then the first book that we picked was black on the cover, and we went with Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Here we are with our November TBR. I feel like this is leaning very spooky season. I feel like we have cowboy, we have contemporary, we have thriller, we have dark, we have werewolf times 2. But still a pretty good blend, and I was able to get 3 of the books that I'm hoping to put in my next video in here, which is a lot, because I'm pretty sure there's only 4 books I wanted to put on that video, or no, 5. There's 5. We'll see if I can read 5 books in like 2 weeks, because I haven't done that in a really, really long time. That was my pace, like 3 months ago, but we have not been reading that quickly lately. So we'll see if I'm able to get all of the books in my next video that I was hoping to get. I think that if you know me as a reader and have followed kind of like my taste, or you hear me talk about the books I don't like as much as others, you know exactly what video is coming next based on the books I told you is coming in that next video. So we shall see if anyone can guess what is coming up in our next video. But I was able to get some of those books on here, and I will count that as a win. So I will see you guys in the next one. Leave a... Do we have a wolf emoji? Is the wolf emoji a thing? Because I feel like this is a wolf heavy TBR. Yes, there is a wolf. So please leave me a wolf emoji in the comments if you make it to the end of the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye! Oh, I keep forgetting that my mic is like super low. I put it on the pocket today instead of like up on the collar. I don't know how that's going to affect the sound quality, but we shall see. We'll see how that goes. It's supposed to be following... I say that like it isn't. Let me just start that full thing over. It's literally just Asher, that's his name. The next book, this one's by Sandy Jones, and I ended up giving it a 3.75 star. Really? I should edit that. Okay, the next book, I don't know why I did that. This is so good. I don't know a ton about this one, but I know the FMC is... Sorry, there's like a weird little stuff on the front. Okay. My phone is on... That was not how words work. I've done all the other... I'm going to stop saying that. Is the new... Oh, that was gross. I'm so sorry. What was the prompt for this one? Romance. Yes. Let me get these in like a more organized little stack. Because right now we're all over the place. That always happens. The very top book is always so slippery. But yes, here we are. Getting decapitated by a book, I guess.